Stage Door Show, celebrating the independent artist. Hosted by Dave Hondel.
Everybody, welcome to the Stage Door. Tonight, this is Dave Hondel, and I have with me tonight my friend. He's a music producer and guitarist, John Evans. John, how are you doing tonight?
Great, Dave. How are you?
I am fantastic. Spending the quarantine being creative. How about yourself?
Yeah, well, trying my best to be creative, and new project coming up that I think the quarantine helped me focus a little bit more on and actually finish. So, yeah, trying my best.
Well, let's talk about that new project. I know before we went on the air, we were kind of talking about some of the songs. You know, you've been writing a lot of songs during the past couple of weeks, but talk about that new project and also some of your most recent projects that we can listen to.
Well, My main project or band that I'm in, is called Evans and Stokes, and we've got 3 albums released so far. We're actually working on our 4th right now. But during the quarantine, I decided to try something a little different, and I'm just releasing now a solo project. It's called Dominus Meus. And the album is actually going to drop tomorrow. It'll be available on, wherever digital music is sold, whether that's iTunes, Spotify, Deezer, all of those. It'll be available tomorrow. The album is simply titled DM1. That was my quarantine project. Whenever I pick up the guitar at home, a song usually comes out of it. I'll pick up the guitar, and then a few hours later, I'm knee-deep into some sort of composition, and just stuck with it for a few weeks, and this album came out of it.
That's incredible. What is Dominus Meus? What's the origin of that name? So
it's Latin. It means my Lord, and for those that don't know, Evans and Stokes and Dominus Meus, it's hard rock, metal music, but it's Christian based. So most of the songs, lyrical content is based on scripture, although we will get into some other areas. But Dominus Meus is a little bit more. It's a little heavier than Evans and Stokes. I'm actually performing the vocals, which was a little bit more growly. And I would say Dominus Meus is more like a cross between Metallica, Megadeth, and Rammstein. It falls somewhere in there. You'll hear the music is heavily influenced by bands like that. And I've always loved those bands. I grew up on Megadeth and Metallica, and love Rammstein. Sometimes the subject matter of some of that material, isn't really for me, and I just find it a little bit more fulfilling to have it be more Christian based.
Were you a fan of Stryper when you were younger?
Oh yeah, very big fan of Stryper, and their most recent. They're actually working on a new record right now, but their most recent album, which is a few years old now, was a very, very good record. So, yeah, big fan of Stryper, and you know what? Big fan of a lot of secular bands too. Like I said, if for me personally, if I'm going to record something and put it out there, I'd like it to be meaningful, not vulgar or anything like that. And gosh, I mean, the stories that you can pull from the Bible, trust me, they're not. It's not all roses. So you can write about some pretty interesting stuff, by pulling some stories from that book.
Absolutely, no, you're right. The other thing is growing up. I suppose what we talked about Stryper, but what are some other influences? What made you want to pick up the guitar? I guess.
Well, I started playing, when I was very young. I remember my mother had a teacher come to the house and give me lessons, and I hated it. I had a beat-up acoustic guitar, and he was teaching me things like Mary Had a Little Lamb and, stuff that you don't want to learn. And I gave up on it. And then at some point, I picked up an electric guitar, and then just started learning songs on my own. I think the first song I learned on my own was a Dawkins song. Gosh, I can't even remember what it was. But back then, I didn't know how to read music. Everything was by ear, and just started on my own and learning myself. I was in a few bands in high school and right after high school, so got a little bit of that stage experience, and then sort of put it all away to raise my family. And the past few years have really gotten back into it, full force.
Well, we are glad that you're back at it, John, because you're really putting out some good stuff. So we're going to take a quick break, and we will be right back with John Evans. Did all of you catch our new amazing intro? Well, I can tell you that our new intros for this show were performed by voice actor Steve Zero, and were recorded and mixed at Word Bubble Studios in New York. From audiobooks and commercials to e-learning and live events, visit stevezero.com for your sincere and strong narration partner today. Again, that's stevezero.com, stevezerro.com. Just amazing work. We also have a new weekly segment with our very own Ivy Hicks called Sound Bites with Ivy, where Ivy scours the internet for amazing indie artists, and she features them in 60-second segments on the Stage Door Instagram page, again called Sound Bites with Ivy. So definitely be sure to check that out, and check out Ivy on her Instagram page, Ivy Hicks Official. Check it out. Yeah, I think, and one of the things I noticed, John, I've listened to your music for a few years now since we've known each other. And one thing I notice is the originality, and your music is unique, but it's powerful. And it almost crescendos, it starts out, but then it really crescendos, and it really kind of makes your hair stand up, really. I mean, it's really powerful stuff. Talk about some of your favorite work, and some of the songs that our listeners would really want to go pull up on Spotify. I mean, besides them all, obviously, but what are some of your songs that you want to highlight?
Well, I'll tell you, our most recent release is called Children of God, and that that's going to be our most polished record to date. You can hear over the course of our three releases the improvements we make, not only in our songwriting but also in our production. And Children of God, really. It kind of captures the sound that we've been looking for the whole time. There's a song on there called "God Forsaken" that really, there a lot of Evans and Stokes songs will follow that model that you described, where it will start, the songs will start a certain way, and then at some point take a harden, whether that's something softer that builds up into a climax. Or some songs just take a left turn because we felt like it, and it's a little bit more progressive. But yeah, Godforsaken, definitely. There's a song called Flames of Notre Dame that I wrote right after watching the news and watching Notre Dame Cathedral was on fire. Couldn't believe it, and actually wrote that song that day. There's a song about the creation of the atom bomb. So it's not all based on scripture. There's some other things in there. But yeah, very proud of that record. Whether you're a fan of I don't know if CDs or vinyl's making a comeback. I don't know if CDs ever will, but we do offer our albums on CD. But Children of God, we have a book that goes along with it that obviously contains all the lyrics, but also has some side notes as to how the songs were developed and some pretty neat artwork in there. So we're proud of that. We offer that as well. And for our upcoming album, which is not titled yet, that we hope to have released at some point, probably by the end of the summer, that's going to be one main concept, one story. It'll have a little bit more in-depth book to go with it, that we hope will have a story that ties all of the songs together. So we're working on that now. We have all of the songs are complete, recorded. The lyrics for, I think 90% of the songs are done. We just need to record vocals and get in and mix and master everything, which sounds like it shouldn't take that long, but it actually, that can be the painstaking process, getting all that stuff just right. And then, of course, instead of just releasing the record, we're working on a book to go with it. So that'll take a little time to finish, and we release everything all at once. And if you're into CDs, you order the CD package, you get the CD, you get a couple of other goodies in there, you get the book and all of that, or you can stream it and just order the book separately. I mean, however you want to do it. But we're really excited about that. I think it's going to be. And the production of these new songs is even better than what we've done in the past. So really proud of it.
Yeah, I mean, when you're talking about the production piece of it and mixing and mastering, and just the way things have kind of moved and shifted a little bit from recording studios to really home recording studios. And the fact that, people could be across the world that you might collaborate with, and they can simply just send you a file, and you can put it on the timeline, and you can, adjust it, mix and master it however you need to do it. But there was a time, I was just interviewing Denise Williams, and she was saying there was a time when, the singer was with the band and everybody was in the same room recording. And then now it's completely different, where people collaborate from like all corners of the world, and you can put together a project, and you're not even in the same country, right?
Well, I'll do you one better than that, Dave. I mean, Evans and Stokes is John Evans and myself and Jenny Stokes. And Jenny Stokes is she writes all of the lyrics. She's the vocalist. And Jenny Stokes lives in New Zealand.
Wow.
We've never met. In fact, not only have we never met, we've been working together for 4 years. We've never met, and I've only spoken with her on the phone once. So that was a Skype call that we had 2 years ago. Yeah. So everything we do to create our music is done via file sharing, emails. I mean, thousands of emails. I think for Children of God, it's in our book that went with the album. I think we have over 3,000 emails back and forth just to create that album. That's what it takes out. How many back and forths? You can do it.
Yeah, I mean, the crazy thing is, and I don't know, people that don't know the process of making music, the band One Direction, did one of their albums literally from the bathrooms of their hotel rooms when they were on tour. So, it's one of those things that I think nowadays it's a lot easier to record. But again, we talk about this a lot, the ease of recording and the ease of streaming and the ease of putting things on social media is great for musicians right now, especially independent musicians. But again, it also creates more competition. And again, how original your music can be, and the fact that you put a book with your music, I think is fantastic, and that's something that I don't think a lot of bands do or musicians. So I think that that's a great, unique thing to do. And as far as marketing goes, and for a lot of our indie artists on the podcast that listen, John, what are some of the things that you can offer as far as advice from your experience that works for you and that might help somebody out there that's just getting started?
Well, I would say, it was a long process. When you and I are talking and we talk about the ease of it, now it's much easier than it was when we started, and I didn't know what I was doing, and just sort of had to figure all this stuff out myself. And these days we all figure things out the same way. We log on to YouTube and we watch a bunch of tutorials, right?
Yeah.
But I would say, if you're going to try to do this, make the investment in a good digital audio workstation, whether that's Studio One or I use Samplitude, but make the investment, spend the money, learn how to use the software, watch as many tutorials as possible. It's the funny thing is, I can pick up the guitar, and the odd part about it is what I learned is that writing the music is the easy part. Everything else that comes along with it, you have to learn. I've been playing guitar since I was 15 years old. So for me to write a riff or to put a song together, build a structure, whatever. Now I'm playing the guitar, the rhythm, the lead. I'm playing the bass guitar, basically all the instruments in these compositions. So, I have a vision. I know what I want. I can write that song in a day or two, the music at least, and then pass it over to Jen, who will write the lyrics, and she'll record the vocals and she'll send them back. But then mixing and mastering everything, let me tell you, you really need to do your homework when it comes to that stuff. And you can tell if you listen to our first record, Beyond the Gates, and then our second record, Valley of the Kings, and then our third record, Children of God, you'll see the progression of John Evans's mixing and mastering skills.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing too, and you talked about writing. The easy thing was writing the music, but everybody has a different process. I guess some people, will write the words first. Some people will write the music. But when you sit down with the guitar, how does the songs kind of come about? And do you already have kind of a melody in your head, and you want to pick up the guitar, or do you kind of noodle with the guitar and it kind of comes out of that? I mean, I think you kind of mentioned that earlier when you're kind of playing. Sometimes songs just come out of what you're playing, but is that kind of how you write the melodies? It just kind of comes to you and while you're playing guitar, or do you kind of have something in your head first?
So it's different for everybody. And when we started this journey, back in 2016, the way I met Jen was we met on a songwriting forum, and that forum doesn't exist anymore. But a lot of those folks migrated over. It's called Songwriter Junction now. So if anybody's interested in learning the basics and throwing your own ideas out there and getting some good quality feedback without, there's really no trolls on there or anybody who's going to bash your idea, but they will give you some really good feedback. It's called songwriterjunction.com. I would definitely go log in and check it out. But anyways, you see how other people are creating their songs. Some people, like you said, they start with, a melody in their head, and then it takes them, 7 months to finish the way I do it, quite frankly, is I start with a drum track. I always start with a drum track, and I'm developing a drum track. And I'll make the drum track generally, from A to Z for the entire song, and I'll have sections that are obviously for verses, pre-chorus, chorus, bridge, whatever, intro, fills. I'll do the entire drum track, and then I pick up my guitar and I start to work out riffs for each of those parts of the song. So I'll start to work out, guitar riffs or some sort of melody for the verses in that drum track. Before you know it, you've got all the pieces together, and then sometimes you have to make adjustments. All right, this part really sounds great. Let me extend it. So I'll extend the drum track in that particular pre-chorus for another 8 bars because I really like the riff that I came up with on the guitar. It's interesting. Or I know it's a great place for Jen to develop some sort of catchy, hook in a chorus or pre-chorus. So, yeah, and I'll lay the guitar, all the rhythm guitar tracks down, and for anybody who, does this, every single guitar part you hear, on these records, it's actually me playing it twice, minimum twice, panning one all the way right, the other all the way left to get that, stereo sound. And then I'll go back and I'll create a bass line and pull out the bass guitar and record that whole thing. Tweak it, get the levels just right, and then I'll send that composition off to Jen, and I'll usually give it a title. And sometimes those titles stay, sometimes those titles change, but the title that I give it will usually get Jen's ideas swirling in her head. We have song titles for our upcoming record, some titles, Into the Badlands, Overlord, and then we have, song titles, Demon of the Wood, and Man, Beast, and Creeping Things. I sent her a composition, and I titled it Man, Beast, and Creeping Things. And, she gets it and goes, what the heck is this? And it's interesting. Maybe that title will stay, maybe it won't, but at least it sparks the creativity,
Yeah, the other thing, John, is when you talked about the hook, and personally, I think the hook is one of the most important things to a song to really kind of engage your listener. So, how important is that hook in your estimation? And also, and obviously it changes song to song, but how important is that as a musician to really have a good hook?
Very important. I think it has to. Look. Any song, and this is another lesson that I think we've learned over the years, and you can see in the development, you can hear in the development of our music, but a vocal hook, I think, is very important. I also like the music in certain sections, the music in the chorus of a song to just be this big. I always want our Evans and Stokes choruses to be, you can ask Jen, I'm always telling her, it's going to be huge. You've got your intro and your verse and your pre-choruses leading up, but that chorus I want to be huge. That's where the verse might have had some electric guitar and, obviously bass guitar, but when it gets to the chorus, now I've got some rhythm guitar, there's a little bit of lead in there, you got the bass guitar, I have some keyboards, and I have Jen's hook vocal melody that she's come up with. So it's got to really be something memorable so someone wants to listen to that song over and over again, not just hear it one time and go, yeah, that was cool, let me move on.
Yeah, no, that's definitely important. Before obviously we go here, I want to tell everybody how to find you, social media platforms, wherever they can find your music, and also the books that you have that go along with the music. So where can people find your music?
Oh, on our website, evansandstokes.com, EVANSANDSTOKES.com. We also have a Facebook page. We're on Twitter, Instagram. So that's the best place to find us. And right on our website, there's many different sections. The song lyrics are all on there, and you can see our previous releases and a couple of videos. There's some samples, videos of what we're working on of what we've been working on for the new record, so you can hear, how that's coming along. And then Dominus Meus, my side project, that drops tomorrow wherever digital music is sold, and that's dominusmeus.com is the website. Also, the Facebook page for that. We just actually hit, all excited, we hit 330 followers, I think, the other day, which isn't too bad for only being up for a month.
That's great.
So that drops tomorrow wherever digital music is sold. But we have CDs available as well, and a couple of T-shirt, sweatshirt, things like that are also available from the website. You can order all of that stuff. So yeah, that's what I've got going on for 2020 so far.
Well, you definitely stayed busy, John, and again, I can vouch for the music, and I know we played some clips already during this podcast. So again, everybody go to the website and check out the great music from Evans and Stokes and John Evans. Again, John, I thank you so much for joining me on the podcast tonight, and I can't wait to see the new music that you have coming out for 2020. So I'm looking forward to that. Again, thank you for joining me tonight.
Thanks, Dave. I appreciate it. Take care. Stay safe.
Judge of the earth.